Enchanting Ties, Journey Amidst Family and Romance. Duncan's interest in Liberty was sparked by Zachary's sudden marriage to Serenity, which made Liberty his sister-in-law. Despite his friend's misunderstanding that he had a crush on Liberty, Duncan didn't bother explaining himself, fearing it would only make him seem defensive. At dinner, Zachary and Josh drank a little, while Duncan refrained from drinking to be able to drive later. After the meal, Josh deliberately acted drunk, asking for a ride home from Jasmine, hoping for an opportunity to spend time with her. Duncan quickly made an excuse to leave, and Zachary suggested Jasmine take Josh home. When Serenity and Zachary returned home, they found Mrs. Lane gone, and Zachary revealed he had given her the night off for some alone time with Serenity. He affectionately teased her, asking to be called Babe, which Serenity found ticklish but enjoyable. They playfully teased each other, and soon, they ended up in the bedroom together. Zachary carried Serenity into the bathroom, and after some intimate time together, they both felt refreshed. The next morning, they were awakened by the doorbell, and Serenity, still half asleep, playfully asked Zachary to see who was at the door. Zachary, unbothered by the teasing, answered the door, knowing that Serenity couldn't get to him with her playful antics. "It might be my mom," Zachary said, getting up from the bed. He explained that he had called his mother, Tanya, to come over early and accompany Serenity to buy an evening dress for the company's annual dinner. Serenity, taken aback by the sudden visit, quickly got ready to greet her mother-in-law. Zachary playfully advised her to put on an apron before going to the door. Tanya arrived with 2 bags, one filled with fresh seafood and the other with eggs from the family's chickens. As Serenity accepted the gifts, she suggested they don't need so many eggs and that they should leave them for Grandma May, who preferred the healthier homegrown eggs. However, Tanya insisted that they accept the eggs and grant Grandma May's wish for a great-granddaughter soon. When Tanya inquired about Zachary's whereabouts, Serenity mentioned he was still asleep. She started preparing breakfast as Tanya explained that Zachary had asked her to come early to help Serenity choose an evening dress. Tanya recalled her husband's reluctance to involve her in the process, citing his business with testing Serenity's character, but she found it amusing rather than concerning. Tanya expressed her surprise that Zachary was still asleep, remarking that he usually worked late and woke up early for his morning run. She warned Serenity not to spoil him, as it would lead to her suffering in the long run. Zachary jokingly accused his mother of bad-mouthing him behind his back. Zachary emerged from his room, dressed in a suit but without his jacket and tie on properly. Tanya reminded him to wear his jacket to avoid catching a cold. She moved to help him put it on, but Zachary quickly did it himself, secretly wanting Serenity to do it for him. He also put on his tie. "Hi." Serenity chimed in from the kitchen, mentioning that she made him get injections instead of medicine when he complained about the side effects. Tanya defended Serenity, stating that she was only looking out for his well-being. She advised Zachary to help with chores and not let Serenity do everything on her own. In the kitchen, Serenity realized why Zachary had asked her to wear an apron before opening the door for his mother. He was deliberately showcasing her diligence and hard work to ease the relationship between them. Zachary knew how to mediate the conflict between his mother and wife, and Tanya appreciated Serenity's efforts in taking care of him. Zachary justified Serenity's actions, stating that it was natural for wives to get up early to prepare breakfast and take care of the household chores. Zachary's remarks about wives getting up early to make breakfast and serve their husbands angered his mother, Tanya. She chastised him, saying that wives didn't owe their husbands such servitude and that he was wrong in his beliefs. She scolded him for treating Serenity like a servant, contrasting his behavior with how other women in the family were treated. Tanya decided to make a change and instructed Zachary to take off his suit jacket and tie, putting an apron on him instead. She urged him to go to the kitchen and make breakfast while allowing Serenity to rest. Concerned about Serenity, Tanya warned her not to spoil Zachary, mentioning that he used to have a selfish and short-tempered temperament. Serenity agreed that she wouldn't let him become spoiled and revealed that Grandma May had taught her how to handle him properly. Tanya emphasized that Serenity should put those teachings into practice effectively. Serenity playfully joked that outsiders might mistake her as Tanya's biological daughter instead of her daughter-in-law due to the close relationship they shared. Tanya found herself taking Serenity's side in the disagreement, likely due to her own husband spoiling her throughout their marriage. She realized that she had been inadvertently siding with her daughter-in-law against her son. Feeling deceived by her son's behavior, Tanya decided to treat Serenity kindly during breakfast. This made Zachary jealous, and he jokingly asked if he was adopted. Tanya playfully responded that she treats both her daughter and son with equal care. After the meal, Serenity explained that she already had an evening dress and didn't need to buy a new one, considering their financial situation. However, Zachary assured her that they were well off and wanted to buy her dresses for special occasions and Christmas gifts. Zachary had already transferred money to his mother in advance to help Serenity choose the evening dresses. Tanya reluctantly accepted the money as Zachary insisted that it was his responsibility to cover his wife's expenses. Before leaving for work, Zachary playfully asked Serenity to call him babe in a gentle manner, claiming it would energize him at work and make him return home earlier. Serenity teased him about using a megaphone to call him babe loudly in the neighborhood. Once Zachary left for work, Serenity went shopping for an evening dress with her mother-in-law. Tanya had a clear intention of making Serenity the most dazzling woman at the company's annual dinner. She carefully selected a beautiful evening gown for her daughter-in-law, and Serenity's graceful demeanor perfectly showcased the dress's selling points. Tanya complimented Serenity's aura and suggested she could become a celebrity with proper etiquette training. However, Serenity expressed her focus on earning money to buy a house rather than seeking fame. Tanya was secretly relieved to see the genuine connection between Zachary and Serenity. She knew that Serenity would face challenges as the eldest daughter-in-law in the family, especially with sisters-in-law who came from elite backgrounds. Despite believing in Serenity's ability to handle the role, Tanya acknowledged that there was much for her daughter-in-law to learn. They decided on the evening gown Serenity wore, and Tanya bought several other dresses as well. They also shopped for high heels to complete Serenity's look for the event. Throughout the day, Serenity splurged on clothes for Zachary, keeping her promise to buy him new outfits. Tanya observed Serenity's care and affection for Zachary, impressed with how well Serenity treated her son. Serenity and Tanya drove back home with bags of shopping. Unaware of their presence, Audrey spotted them from a distance in her luxury car and asked her daughter-in-law, Alice, if one of the women was Serenity. Alice confirmed it was indeed Serenity. Audrey, recognizing Tanya, became suspicious of their cordial relationship. Thinking about Serenity's husband, Audrey wondered if he could be Zachary or one of his brothers. She deduced that Zachary might be Serenity's husband, explaining his recent business trip to avoid them due to a guilty conscience. Audrey called Serenity, pretending to need shopping company, and informed her about the encounter. Meanwhile, Alice immediately informed her husband, Clive, that Audrey now knows that Serenity's husband is Zachary. Clive was surprised as he hadn't shared this information with his parents yet. They both realized that their plan to keep Serenity's marriage a secret had failed. Tanya rarely went shopping, usually preferring home deliveries for her needs. However, her rare outing today coincided with Audrey spotting her. Though Zachary could deceive Serenity, he couldn't fool his aunt. Serenity explained to Audrey that she was with her mother-in-law and would check if Tanya was up for meeting. Tanya declined the invitation, citing fatigue from shopping. Serenity suggested they meet another time and asked if Elisa and Alice were available to accompany Audrey. Audrey declined the suggestion, asking Serenity to call her husband, Zachary, to arrange a meeting for dinner after the new year. Audrey was shocked to hear Zachary's name. She couldn't believe it was just a coincidence that Serenity's husband shared the same name as the eldest son of the wealthy York family. She suspected Zachary might be avoiding Elisa intentionally. Audrey worried about Serenity's ability to adapt to the affluent York family's lifestyle, considering their disparate backgrounds. Feeling angry and concerned, Audrey decided to discuss the matter with her eldest son at the company. She instructed Alice to drive her to the office despite Clive's potential unavailability. Alice complied silently, understanding her mother-in-law's intense emotions. Audrey remained silent during the journey to the company, leaving Alice concerned about her intentions towards Serenity due to Elisa's situation. As they arrived at Stone Group, Audrey went straight into Clive's office while Alice waited in the VIP lounge, updating Clive about his mother's arrival. Clive assured Alice that Audrey wouldn't take any drastic action. After a while, Audrey returned from the meeting, still looking upset but less visibly angry. Alice felt relieved to see this. Audrey asked for the car keys and left on her own, instructing Alice to wait for Clive. The conversation's details remained unknown to Serenity. Back in Brenfield, Serenity's father-in-law asked Tanya to return home for dinner. Serenity messaged Zachary, learning that he wouldn't be back for dinner. So, she visited her sister Liberty's place instead. Liberty was making chili sauce, explaining that while Wilkes-Bunions generally preferred milder flavors, there were still some who liked spicy food. Serenity asked Liberty about the progress of the pickled beans. "No, not yet. The beans need to be sun-dried before we pickle them," Liberty replied when Serenity asked about the pickled beans. Mrs. Lane had taken Sonny out for a walk since he didn't like the spiciness in the kitchen. Serenity informed Liberty about buying several beautiful dresses with her mother-in-law's help, but she felt guilty about the cost, as Zachary was a big spender with a lot of savings. The doorbell rang, and Serenity opened the door, expecting Mrs. Lane and Sonny, but it was Olivia instead. Olivia wanted to talk to Liberty and see Sonny. Serenity sarcastically commented on Olivia's request, as she recalled how Olivia's family always expected Liberty to cook for them, especially seafood feasts, which they would take home afterward. Olivia looked embarrassed and expressed her desire to chat with Liberty. Serenity, however, was not convinced and urged Olivia to leave, stating that Liberty was busy and Sonny wasn't home. Olivia insisted on not entering the house and claimed she needed someone to talk to as she was facing troubles. Before Hank's divorce from Olivia, she initially thought that Jessica was a good match for her son, considering her youth and charm despite being a wife and mother. However, once Jessica moved in with them, Olivia realized that life with Liberty was actually better. Olivia held a condescending view of Jessica, seeing her as nothing more than a decorative vase. Nevertheless, she couldn't deny that Jessica was skilled in manipulation and knew how to act spoiled and pitiful to gain sympathy, especially from Hank. Olivia would often feel infuriated by Jessica's tactics. When Serenity asked about her daughter, Olivia retorted, "Don't you and your daughter love gossiping? Go complain to her instead." However, Olivia quickly changed the subject and revealed that Chelsea and her husband had been laid off from their jobs due to unsatisfactory performance. Both husband and wife were in a bad mood because of this unexpected situation. Olivia wanted to defend Hank and point out that he had taken care of Liberty in the past, but she held her tongue to avoid a confrontation with Serenity. Instead, Serenity coldly dismissed Hank as her brother-in-law, emphasizing that her sister had divorced him and therefore, he was no longer part of their family. Serenity took pleasure in Chelsea's misfortune, considering it a form of divine retribution for her family. Olivia continued to vent her frustrations about Jessica, accusing her of being a greedy mistress who demanded a high bride price of $777,777, claiming it to be a lucky number. The Yates family even refused to provide any dowry, arguing that they had already spent a significant amount of money raising their daughter. Olivia couldn't help but vent her frustration to Serenity about the demands of the Yates family for a high bride price and their refusal to provide a dowry for Jessica's marriage to Hank. She expressed her annoyance at how Jessica seemed to be only interested in spending Hank's money without contributing anything herself. Olivia compared Jessica unfavorably to Liberty, who had invested a significant amount in the marriage, even buying furniture as her dowry when they got married. Serenity inwardly sneered at Olivia's complaints, considering how Hank had cheated on her sister despite her efforts to make their marriage work. She felt that Jessica's materialistic nature suited the Brown family, and she relished the idea of watching the drama unfold in their lives. Olivia continued to reveal the extensive demands of the Yates family, including a large-scale banquet with expenses covered by Hank's family. She pleaded with Serenity to persuade Liberty to remarry Hank for the sake of Sunny. However, Serenity sarcastically dismissed the idea, stating that Jessica now had the final say in their family, and Olivia should keep her thoughts to herself. When Olivia expressed concern about Liberty's future prospects, Serenity firmly believed that her sister's life would be better off without Hank, even if she never remarried. Olivia, however, continued to persuade Serenity, emphasizing the challenges of finding a suitable partner as a divorced single mother. Frustrated with Olivia's insistence, Serenity tried to close the door, but Olivia asked to be let in since she had forgotten her phone and wallet. Serenity filled a salad bowl for her ex-mother-in-law, trying to show kindness, but Olivia continued to criticize her behavior, warning that she would be abandoned by her husband if she didn't change. Unfazed by the remarks, Serenity responded sternly and Olivia ran away in fear when she saw Serenity holding a broom. After Serenity chased Olivia away, she advised her sister not to let her in next time and instead enjoy the entertainment of her complaints like watching a show. Serenity found it amusing to listen to Olivia's chatter and gather information about Hank and Jessica's situation. Liberty made it clear that she wanted nothing to do with her former mother-in-law, and it puzzled Serenity why Olivia would voluntarily come to update Liberty about their family problems. Nevertheless, Serenity didn't pay much attention to it and continued with her day. On the day of the annual dinner at York Corporation, Jasmine and Drake arrived at Serenity's home. Serenity teased Jasmine for accepting Mr. Buchan's invitation despite initially refusing. Jasmine revealed that the tempting payment offered by Josh convinced her to act as his female companion for the event. Drake acted as the chauffeur since both women were dressed up, making it difficult for them to drive. Serenity declined Zachary's offer to pick her up, considering it would be tiring for him. Jasmine, in a light-hearted conversation with Serenity, asked her to find out if Mr. Buchan might be interested in her brother since he seemed to be trying to get close to him. This revelation surprised Serenity, who cast a quick glance at Drake. Jasmine and Drake resembled each other, both being attractive individuals. Drake looked young enough to pass off as a high school student. Jasmine expressed her concern about Mr. Buchan's intentions towards her brother, as he treated Drake exceptionally well and even lent him his beloved sports car. Serenity suggested that Mr. Buchanan might be interested in Jasmine instead and was using Drake to get closer to her. Both Serenity and Jasmine's phones rang at the same time. Serenity received a call from Zachary, who asked her to meet him at the company's entrance in 10 minutes. Jasmine's call was from Josh, who reassured her that he would arrange a driver to pick her up. However, Jasmine told him that Drake would send them over and pick her up after dinner. On their way to York Corporation, Jasmine was eager to see Mr. York and his wife, as he usually gave a speech at the annual dinner. She wanted to arrive early to catch a glimpse of him without being surrounded by bodyguards. Serenity teased Jasmine for being nosy about Mr. York and reminded her that if he was a straight man, it was natural for him to have a wife. She also suggested that Mr. Buchanan might be trying to impress Jasmine and win her over. Jasmine and Serenity were excited about attending the annual dinner at York Corporation and possibly meeting Mr. York's wife to learn how to manage their husbands better. Serenity, in particular, wanted to protect her relationship with Zachary and keep him devoted to her. They urged Drake to drive faster to ensure they arrived early. Drake, still single, admired their strong personalities and hoped to find a girlfriend as confident and assertive as them. Upon reaching the building, Josh greeted Jasmine with a smile and attempted to be chivalrous, but she declined his assistance. Meanwhile, when Zachary saw Serenity all dressed up, his eyes lit up, and he expressed how good she looked. Serenity questioned if her dress was not suitable, but Zachary assured her she looked wonderful. Zachary led Serenity inside the building, complimenting her stunning appearance. Meanwhile, Jasmine and Josh were still outside discussing whether Drake should join the dinner. Drake decided not to attend, and Josh tried to persuade him, but Serenity intervened, suggesting Drake hang out with his friends and come back later when needed. After Drake left, Josh and Jasmine finally entered the building together. Josh wanted Jasmine to take his arm, pretending to be a close companion, to avoid the attention of female employees who might have a crush on him. Jasmine initially resisted, but Josh insisted and offered to pay more. She eventually agreed, hooking her arm with his to keep up appearances. However, Jasmine began teasing Josh, suggesting he might be interested in her brother. She reminded him of his suggestion to dress Drake as a woman to be his +1. Josh playfully denied being interested in men and argued that if he had to choose, he would prefer Zachary as he was more handsome. Jasmine was taken aback and asked if he was truly not gay. Josh expressed some annoyance at her questioning, explaining that her previous comments during their blind date could have been misinterpreted. He then teased her, asking if she would think of him as a rogue if he were genuinely interested in her. Jasmine was left speechless by Josh's response. She tried to recall their blind date but could only remember Josh arriving on a bike with a rose in his mouth. He had tried to give her the rose, but she had noticed him before he could do so. She pointed out that he had not been sincere during their blind date, and if she had known he was from the Buchanan family, she would never have agreed to the date. In his heart, Josh grumbled that he had concealed his identity just like Zachary had to make sure Serenity's feelings were genuine. He had later confessed his identity to Jasmine, expecting a positive reaction, but she had already known about it and distanced herself. Josh had to take the brother-in-law route to stay close to her, but her imagination led her to suspect he might be hitting on Drake. Josh reassured Jasmine that he genuinely wanted to pursue a romantic relationship with her and not just because of his status. Jasmine accepted his explanation but reminded him that they were at the event for work, and she didn't want him hitting on her brother. She thought about her cousin Sean, who had a crush on Serenity even though she was married. Her aunt, Audrey, had put a stop to Sean's advances, making him back off, but he hadn't given up completely. Jasmine admired Elise's ability to move on from her unrequited love for Mr. York when she learned he was married. She found Elisa to be much better than Sean in handling her feelings. Josh teasingly suggested that Drake could be a beautiful woman if he wore women's clothing and a wig. Jasmine pinched him again in response. Josh joked that her violence might be a form of affection, to which Jasmine playfully threatened to get even more violent with him. Josh was at a loss for words as he watched Zachary and Serenity, who were walking ahead of them, engaged in sweet exchanges. The couple looked so happy and in love, and it reminded him of his own desires for a meaningful relationship. Realizing that he and Jasmine were not following, Serenity turned her head and noticed the pair appearing to be arguing. "Zachary, why do Mr. Buchan and Jasmine look like they're fighting?" Serenity asked, concerned. Zachary glanced at his friend and replied casually, "No, Mr. Buchan has a good temper." If the people who had been suppressed by Josh before were present, they would be speechless now. If Josh's temper was considered good, there would be no one in the world with a bad temper. "Don't mind them. Let's keep going," Zachary suggested, guiding Serenity forward with him. The couple remained close, relishing each other's presence. "Zachary, will your CEO's wife be coming as well?" Serenity inquired curiously. "Why do you want to see her?" Zachary asked playfully. "I just wanted to meet her and maybe have a chance to talk to her," Serenity replied. She was curious about Mrs. York's approach to managing her husband and wanted to befriend her. Zachary explained, "You're a bit late. Our CEO and his wife left before you arrived. Every year, he leaves after his speech. He believes that the guests won't be able to enjoy themselves if he stays." In previous years, Zachary always left after giving his speech, and his brothers and Josh would take turns hosting the rest of the dinner. "We miss them then," Serenity lamented. "Jasmine and I kept urging Drake to speed up, but we still miss them. Did you give us a different invitation with a different time so that we, as family members, wouldn't hear your CEO's speech?" Serenity wondered aloud. Zachary chuckled, "That's right, you caught me there. I thought it'd be more fun to surprise you all during the speech." "Did you see your CEO's wife?" Serenity asked with interest. Zachary's replied warmly, "I saw her. She's really beautiful. She's the most dazzling woman in the room and completely charmed our boss." "Is she as beautiful as Aphrodite?" Serenity playfully inquired. Zachary turned to look at her and smiled. In his eyes, she's even more beautiful than Aphrodite. Serenity grinned, realizing that beauty was indeed subjective. In Zachary's eyes, she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and he made her feel special. "Saren," Zachary leaned close to her ear and whispered huskily, "In my eyes, you're the most beautiful woman in the world. You look so heavenly tonight that I can't take my eyes off you. I regret a little, I shouldn't have let you come so dolled up. I want to hide your beauty and keep it all to myself." Serenity blushed, feeling a mix of delight and shyness from his compliments. "Clothes make the man. I put on a new gown and light makeup. If my appearance didn't improve significantly, it'd be a waste of all the money you spent to buy me the dress." Zachary couldn't resist the temptation and kissed her cheek, causing her to flinch and push him away playfully. "Behave." Serenity whispered teasingly, aware of his passionate and lascivious nature when they were intimate. Zachary couldn't help but chuckle softly at Serenity's playful threat. "I'll become a wolf at home," he said, teasingly. Serenity responded by gently squeezing the back of his hand, but he affectionately pulled her hand up and kissed the back of it, leaving her too embarrassed to follow through with another pinch. At York Corporation's annual dinner, no one was surprised to see Zachary accompanied by Serenity. The executives were polite and respectful towards her. However, the unexpected surprise was Josh's choice of companion this year, Jasmine, whose last name was not Buchan. This revelation sparked envy and jealousy among the female employees who adored Josh, as they realized that he had someone he liked. Despite the envy directed towards Jasmine, no one dared to openly provoke her, knowing the power and influence Josh held in the company. Serenity jokingly remarked to Zachary that Jasmine might have been killed by jealous glares multiple times already. Zachary spoke about Josh's popularity in the company, acknowledging his high position, youth, handsome appearance, and wealth. However, he also playfully mentioned Josh's excessive fondness for gossip, adding a humorous undertone to his praise. Feeling full and slightly out of place amidst Zachary's colleagues, Serenity expressed her desire to leave early. Zachary agreed, willing to leave for her sake. He had stayed longer than usual at the annual dinner because of her, but he was more than happy to do so. Teasingly, Zachary questioned whether Serenity was full, offering to get her more food if she was still hungry. She declined, complimenting the chef's excellent cooking skills, not knowing they were specially transferred from the group's hotels. Realizing that Serenity had enjoyed the food so much, Zachary suggested heading home. With a knowing look, he hinted that he was still hungry, hinting at their intimate relationship. Serenity blushed slightly in response to his subtle implication. As Zachary and Serenity departed, the atmosphere at the dinner relaxed. Mr. York, fully satiated, enjoyed the company of a delicate maiden in his arms. "Saren, I might have to go on a business trip," Zachary said as he held Serenity in his arms. Confused, Serenity looked up and questioned why he had to go on a trip so close to his company's annual break. Zachary clarified that it would only be a short trip to Annenberg, and he would be back in a couple of days. He kissed her forehead and playfully asked if she would miss him during his absence. Offering to help him pack and drive him to the airport, Serenity didn't seem particularly clingy, which made Zachary slightly melancholic. Despite their intimate encounters, it appeared their feelings were still developing. During the wedding of an important business partner, Ben Young Johnson, the CEO of FC&Co., Zachary felt envious seeing the newlyweds and learning that Jane, the bride, was pregnant with twins. His thoughts turned to the idea of starting a family with Serenity. The day after the wedding, Zachary visited FC Manor, where he was warmly welcomed by Remy. Sensing that Zachary seemed heavy-hearted, Remy suggested showing him around Annenberg and its scenic spots, an idea that Zachary welcomed. Zachary mentioned that he was planning to take a few days off during the upcoming holidays to spend time with his family elders. The Johnson family reminded him of his own family, with a harmonious and supportive atmosphere. As they strolled around the manor, Remy noticed that Zachary seemed troubled. Offering his support as a friend and business partner, Remy encouraged Zachary to share his concerns, assuring him that he was there to help if needed. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channels, La Novella de Voz and the Voice channel. Don't forget to hit all from the notification bell, so you will get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. Thank you.